Welcome to Serenity, Game Systems Foundation. We're going to explore the sample project that comes with Serenity already configured. The goal of this video is not to set up anything new, but to help you understand where everything lives, how the project is organized, and which scriptable objects, prefabs, and components form the entire foundation. At the end of this video, you'll have a solid understanding of the project structure and a clear picture of what a designer edits, where a programmer adapts, and which parts are already ready to use. Let's start with the folder structure. In Serenity, you'll find several key folders. On Media folder is where the main configuration lives, scriptable objects, settings, and core resources used by the entire application. Scripts. Business folder contains the domain and application layers of all modules. In other words, the foundation models or interfaces. On Scripts, Unity, and Scripts, operative system is where implementation of each module lives. Components, model behaviors, factories, services, and custom editors. On Scripts, shared folder are located all common C# utilities and customs. On Scripts, Examples, you'll find examples of project-specific implementation which you can later copy into your own project. The goal of this organization is to very clearly separate the foundation code, the unit implementations, and the game configuration, so that you can modify what you need without breaking anything. Now, let's open the main scene of the project. You'll see that it contains only a few objects, but one of them is key, the Serenity installer. This installer is the entry point of the foundation. Its job is very simple. Install the minimum required services and start the initialization pipeline. You don't need to touch anything here, but understanding each role will help you later when you want to create menu scenes or gameplay scenes that also use a foundation. Open the Media folder inside Serenity. Here is where scriptable objects are located. These scriptable objects are literally the backbone of the foundation. Everything is configured here. The philosophy of Serenity is that designers or technical artists can modify the game's behavior without coding, simply by adjusting these configurations. Go to the Project UI Theme folder. This is where the base prefabs that define how your interface looks and behaves are located. These prefabs do not contain complex logic. The logic lives in infrastructure and application layers. Here, we define appearance, layout, animation, visual states, and any extra visual components you need. Changing the look and feel of the entire game is as simple as changing these prefabs and updating the theme. You can also switch between specific themes. Let's take a look at the menu definitions. In the Media folder, you'll find scriptable objects such as main menu definition, options menu definition, or language menu definition. Each of these definitions describes a view, which element it contains, which action it executes, which menu it opens, and because they are fully decoupled, you can recognize your game simply by editing these definitions. This is the declarative heart of the foundation. The audio player and music player are also configured using scriptable objects. Here are defined music clips, sound effect clips, and default configuration. In the example projects menu, you already have sliders that modify these values in real time. In the localization folder, you'll find the localization tables and the configurations of the aggregate. Here, you can choose the game settings relating to the game language and the voice language. The input gateway controls how you navigate the UI using keyboard, controller, and mouse. Here you define which devices are allowed and the preferred input mode. Thanks to this, you don't have to program anything to get gamepad navigation. It comes ready out of the box. The examples folder is exactly what it sounds like. It shows how to extend Serenity, for example, how to define and dispatch your own custom events. You see that an action is a small class that implements an interface, receives data from the event dispatcher, and executes a specific logic. Of course, you can do whatever you want on the events, but in the examples it contains no Unity code. It doesn't instantiate anything, but it doesn't load these scenes. That separation is what makes the foundation extremely flexible. And with that, you now know the complete structure of the example project. You know where the main scriptable objects live, where the UI and menu prefabs are, where the themes, settings, model, audio, localization, and input are, and where you write code when you need to extend systems. In the next video, we start with your first practical module, configuring the UI theme and the base visual components.